Has a game ever consumed you to the point that it invaded your mind? Have you ever woken up from dreaming of this game only for that dream to turn into your waking thoughts and cravings? If not, prepare to play such a game. Dark Souls is a thoughtful, atmospheric, mysterious role-playing game that challenges your mind and your mettle. It takes the concepts introduced by 2009's Demon's Souls and elevates them to a kind of horrific bliss. Dark Souls' enormous world is vast and dangerous, filled with homicidal creatures. Your progress might be slow, but once you triumph over one region, you discover another intriguing and frightening place to explore. The superb combat and gripping exploration make it a modern classic, destined to be loved and talked about by anyone that has the pleasure of unraveling its mysteries. Some of Dark Souls' basics are similar to Demon's Souls. This is a third-person dungeon crawler with precise and responsive combat. You create a character, select a class, and enter a bleak kingdom populated by undead horrors, shrieking gargoyles, and ironclad knights. Dark Souls is unforgiving. On your travels, you will cross narrow beams and avoid deadly traps. You'll have evil shrubs spring to life and pierce you with their branches. And of course, you die. Often. When you die, you come back to life at the last bonfire you're rested at. These bonfires are scattered around the world. Not so bad, right? Well, there's a catch. When you kill monsters, you collect their souls. And when you die, you drop them where you fell. If you want those souls, you need to go back and get them. And you need them to level up, buy equipment, improve your weapons and armor, purchase spells, and more. You must ask yourself, is it worth the risk to push forward? And there's so many beautiful and terrifying possibilities waiting out there that you might very well press onward, knowing you might sacrifice your very lifeblood. Of course, that description sounds a lot like Demon's Souls. The biggest difference here is the world structure. This is one whole, interconnected, freely explorable world. Its regions look distinct, but still feel like they belong to the same universe. You might think of it as medieval fantasy horror, beautiful and terrifying all at once. But as horrific as this place is, it draws you in. No one should ever want to be in a land in which death hides around each corner. Yet once you're there, Dark Souls convinces you to remain. The biggest blight on this land is the inconsistent frame rate. It isn't a pervasive issue, but things can get choppy in regions like Blighttown. The slowdown isn't likely to affect your exploration, but it is noticeable enough to stand out. While this technical issue is a bother, there are a number of sensible improvements that make it easier to enjoy this remarkable game. The most intriguing addition is that of covenants. Think of these like factions. By stumbling upon the right character, you can join his or her covenant and receive certain benefits, and potentially weather some risks. For example, you might join a certain faction to gain access to special pyromancy spells, but should you break that bond, a disgusting growth sprouts in place of your head. Covenants also affect the ways you interact with other players, though the specific workings of some covenants are a mystery at this early stage. Like Demon's Souls, Dark Souls possesses a number of incredible online features that make you feel like one node on a giant web of identical worlds. You see the ghosts of other players on your travels and encounter bloodstains that show you the final moments of other players' lives. You can drop helpful messages for other players to read, or heed advice they leave you. And if you need extra help, you can summon a stranger to your world, or be summoned to another. Dark Souls is an unusual and wonderful contradiction. The help you receive is of the silent kind, but that help is important. By both living and dying, you might be another's quiet savior, but you also might be another player's quiet assassin. Invasions have returned, but they require a certain consumable item, and you must possess humanity, an uncommon currency that you earn in a number of different ways. Being invaded is exciting and terrifying, but not as exciting and terrifying as Dark Souls' phenomenal-looking bosses, which are numerous and difficult. Fortunately, the combat is weighty, exact, and consistent, which is why Dark Souls feels fair and rarely cheap. Some small issues might arise in combat situations. You might see a Drake clip into a mountain and get stuck, or die some untimely deaths due to mistakes caused by the finicky lock-on mechanic. But these moments stand out because the action is generally stupendous and otherwise hard to fault. Dark Souls is a huge and intriguing game. Endless mysteries await, and unlike most games, this one doesn't offer easy explanations. It wants you to discover on your own, and in this incredible world, there is always a surprise lurking just out of reach. It's exhaustingly difficult. It requires constant focus and attention. But here, Death and Resurrection is a core mechanic, not a roadblock. And because the combat is so precise, you ultimately feel in control of your destiny. Dark Souls plays by its own rules, and in doing so, brings us an unforgettable adventure that ranks among the best you'll ever take.
In the ancient legends, it is stated that one day an undead shall be chosen